begin as always by first thanking you, my host, for giving me this opportunity to convey the message of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I pray to the Almighty Allah that Allah accepts these efforts of yours in listening to this message. As I pray to the Almighty Allah that Allah accepts these efforts of mine in trying to deliver the message of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam as it was revealed and our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in its true and pure form over 1400 years ago. My young friends, let me take you back to July 1999. July 1999, and the false French prophet of the 16th century was on the lips of everybody. Muslim, non-Muslim alike. You think you're big? Believe me, this guy made it big time. No, they only talk about you in Bedford. This guy, they were talking about him around the globe. He made it headlines, newspaper, TVs, radios, chat shows. Mega. Everyone around the globe was talking about Nostradamus and his prediction that the world was going to come to an end. Now this guy's made many a prediction. Surprising thing is, much of what he said turned out to be false. But in spite of this, when he made this prediction, many people actually believed that the world was going to come to an end on the predicted day. We're simple people, we'll believe anything. Allah's blessed us with intellect, but we hardly ever use it. I mean, look at these WhatsApp messages that you get. Nobody even reads it, but you'll forward it to 50 other guys. I mean, WhatsApp's just started recently. You used to get these messages from Sheikh Ahmed from Medina, where Sheikh Ahmed's seen a dream. And in this dream, he's telling you to do X, Y, and Z. And he's asking you to photocopy these leaflets. And if you distribute these leaflets to 500 houses, you get X amount of million nakis. And you get people doing this. And likewise with these WhatsApp messages, you don't even, some of it doesn't even make sense. And people were so simple, the masses are genuinely simple people. We don't think for ourselves. Here also, in spite of the fact that he made many a prediction and much what he said was a load of rubbish, people actually believed that the world was going to end on the predicted day, so much so that some actually left their homes looking for a refuge, looking for a place to hide, looking for a place that will protect them from destruction and doom. So look at this. You believe that the world's going to come to an end, and then you're looking for a place to hide. Doesn't make sense. And I can still remember to this day, July 1999, on the predicted day, there was rain, thunder, lightning, and I guess, Allah tests in miraculous ways. So I guess these guys thought, we're going. History, boom. The world's going to come to an end. I mean, you had people in Leeds called the New Age travelers, actually sitting in a neat round circle in the middle of Leeds, actually waiting with their heads down. And you know what? They had their luggage with them. Where were they going to take it? Beam me up, Scotty. So sitting in the middle of the Leeds, with their belongings, head down, waiting for the world to come to an end. Just like they were waiting 2 years ago. But did the world come to an end? Come on guys, louder. You're not in doubt here, you're still here. By the grace of Allah, you're still here. The world did not come to an end. Then when the millennium was around the corner, again, the talk of the town, the world will come to an end. The millennium will bring with it what? The descension of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam. And then this huge battle will take place. And the world will come to an end. Now don't get me wrong, we believe that Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam will descend before the end of time. We believe at this moment in time Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam is alive. وَمَا قَتَلُوا وَمَا صَلَبُوا وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. They did not kill Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, and nor did they crucify Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam. وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. The resemblance of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was placed on another individual, and it was this individual that they killed. As for Isa, بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. Allah raised him unto him. Allah raised him to the heavens. And at this moment in time, as I address you and you listen to this reminder, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam is in the heavens. فَيَنْزِلُ عِنْدَ الْمَنَارَةِ الْبَيْضَاءِ شَهْرِكِيَّةِ دَمَشْقٍ. And he will descend. وَإِنَّهُ لَعِلْمٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ. He will descend as a sign of time before the end of time. So we actually believe that Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam is a sign and a sign of the end of time. But I ask you, my young friends, what year are we in now? 2014. How many years since the millennium's kicked in?
15.
Yeah, 14 years plus 14 plus years. We're in 2014. What month? November? What day? Whatever it may be. Shukr Khuda, you're still alive. Shukr Khuda, you're here.
Yeah.
So 14 years on, no sign of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, and no sign of this huge battle that would to take place, and no sign of the world coming to an end. At this moment in time, the talk of the town is that the world will come to an end. Current situation in the Middle East, the Arab Spring, revolutions in Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, the ongoings in the blessed land of Sham, and again everywhere, Muslim, non-Muslim alike, is talking about the world coming to an end. Believe me, guys, people were talking about the end of the world 50 years ago. People were talking about the end of the world 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. But even at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, one after the other, they would come and ask our beloved Nabi with regards to the final hour. So people have always talked about the end of the world. And believe me, 5 years from now, people will still be talking about the end of the world. 10 years from now, people will still be talking about the end of the world. It seems to me as if the end of the world excites people. And it does. MashaAllah, you're packed like sardines here. But who are talking about the Imaniyat? Would you get such an audience? No. Let's say it was advertised today, we're talking about the most important pillar in Islam, Salah. Do you think we'd get these hundreds of males and females here at this moment, at this time of the night on a Saturday night? No. Let's be honest, you wouldn't. Everybody's waiting for me to talk about the Dajjal. Sorry guys, ain't happening. Irrespective, it seems to me that the end of the world not just excites you, it excites mankind. Every one of us. That's why we're always talking about the final hour. It seems to me as if the final hour is a form of entertainment. And the reason I say it seems to me as if the final hour is a means of excitement and a means of entertainment, because you don't see people waking up during the night and begging for Allah's mercy. You don't see people waking up during the night and falling in prostration and begging for Allah to protect them from the fire of hell. Look at our masajid. My young friend, how many people will you find inside the masjid on a daily basis? How many masjids do we have out there? لا تقوم الساعة يتباهى الناس في المساجد. My colleague Sheikh Hassan Ali was talking about the minor signs. One of the minor signs, the final hour, people will compete with one another. People will boast with regards to the masjids. They look at our masjid, mashallah. It's got oak doors and oak cladding, and it's got beautiful carpet. And the next guy will say, look at ours. Ours has got tiles all around it. It's got Yorkshire stone. And that's happening at this moment in time. Yet the ruh, the soul of the masjid is without soul. The real beauty of the masjid, whereas the masjid of Rasulullah ﷺ was so simple. Made out of mitti mud, date palm trunks. You had date palm leaves. But look at what the masjid of Rasulullah ﷺ produced. The likes of Abu Bakr, the likes of Umar, Caesar and Khoros would see nightmares with regards to Umar Farooq radiallahu ta'ala an. And even the shaitan would run away. He would not walk in the same alleyway as Umar Farooq radiallahu ta'ala an. This man farraka bayn al-haqq wal-batil. He distinguished between haqq and batil. He distinguished between right and wrong. This is what the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam produced. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, Sa'd, Sa'id. Today we have hundreds of masajid in this country, but the ruh and the essence and the asal is not there. The masjids are empty. When do you find the masjid full? On a Jummah? What time on a Jummah? When your imam sits down on his pulpit. I mean, in this country we have this practice that before we actually do the khutbah is in Arabic, nobody understands it. So the imam actually delivers a reminder before he actually stands on the minbar to deliver the khutbah. So when he actually sits down on the minbar on a Friday, which is around 20 minutes before the actual time to deliver the khutbah, how many people do you actually find inside the masjid? A handful of old people. When will you find the masjid actually full? More or less when the imam is actually now on the verge of delivering his khutbah in 5 minutes, and he will lead his prayer in 5 minutes, and after that he will make assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and before he even knows it, the congregation's gone. History. The masjid is empty. That's when you find the masjid full, or on the day of Eid. Yeah, how is it on the day of Eid you have in the same masjid which accommodates you for Jummah and your daily prayers? How is it that this masjid can't accommodate you on the day of Eid? Why is it that in one masjid you have 3, 4 jamaats for Eid Salah? Eid al-Adha you will have jamaat at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and everyone is rammed. Everyone is rammed. Why is it on Eid al-Adha you have 4 jamaats? Why do you have 4 jamaats? Where do the extra muqtadis come from? How is it all of a sudden you have more Muslims within the community? Yeah, for a Fajr Salah, how many people will you find? A handful? So it seems to me that the final hour excites people, because we can't carry out the biggest obligation in Islam. What is the first thing that Allah will ask you on the day of judgment? Salah. The first question on the day of judgment will be with regards to your salah. In this day and age, lucky will you find individuals that actually read their 5 daily prayers in Jama'ah. So you don't see people praying as they should be praying. Let me ask you, my young friend, here and now, if you were to know your time's come to an end. Let me give an example of Maulana Hassan Ali, because he won't mind, he's a friend. If Maulana Hassan Ali here and now were to know, or to realize, or come to know that he's got half an hour to live, and at this moment in time the angel's waiting outside this tent to take his soul, Maulana, would that excite you? I mean, I'm just giving Maulana an example, but I want each and every one to apply it to himself. Let me apply it to myself. If here and now I were to know half an hour The angel's already out there. He's got it on his notepad. Ahmad Ali, he's going at bang on 9:45. Would that excite me? Will I now be jumping for joy? Okay, I'm going to meet my Allah. Honestly, tell me, who in this audience, who would it excite? Who can put his hand on his heart and say, okay, now I'm ready to meet my Lord? Who can say, okay, you know what? Allah gave me a purpose in life. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And I fulfilled my purpose in life, and I'm now happy to meet my Allah. I haven't wronged my Allah. I'm happy to meet my Allah. I'm not in a position to speak about yourself, but I'm in a position to speak about myself. You know, if I were to come to know this, that the angel's waiting out there, in half an hour I'm history, 6 foot under, my young friend, every strand, every hair on my body would stand out of fear. Because you know what? Deep down, I know the way I've lived my life. You know, I'm no big sheikh or anything. I'm just a simple guy, just like any one of you. You know the way you've lived your life, and I know the way I've lived my life. And when you know now there's accountability, you know what? When there's accountability, my young friend, that's where fear kicks in. Why? All of a sudden now you know, now I won't be thinking about, you know, all the good deeds that I've done in my life, all the namazes that I prayed, I've elevated the kalama, I've enjoyed the good and forbid evil, I respected my mother and father, and I served my mother and father. These are not the things that are going to come to mind. You know, the thing that will come to mind is all the wrongs that I did. And believe me, I'm, 40 plus now? But you know what? I can remember it like yesterday, just like the back of my hand. I know the back of my hand. I know exactly what I've done in the last 3 years. You yourself will know. Flashbacks will come automatically. You know, every time you wronged Allah, when you took that dope, when you took that, you know, alcohol, when you went to a rave or a club, it will all come back. And the only thing on your mind is what? You know what? I'm going now. What if Allah holds me to account for that? And what if Allah punishes me? Now reality will kick in. Why? Because you know it's history. The game's come to an end. You know you're going. The angel's there. You're going 6 foot under. Man rabbuk ma dinuk man hadha rajul. Who is Allah? Who is your Lord? Ma dinuk. What is your religion? Man hadha rajul. Who is this man? And believe me, don't think, you know what, I know these answers now, and I'll know the ones I'm 6 foot under. It's not as simple as that. My young friend, it will not be as simple as that. Tell me the answers now. Man rabbuk. Rabbi Allah. My Lord is Allah. Ma dinu. What is your religion? My deen is Islam. Man hadha rajul alladhi bu'idha fikum. Who is this man that was sent amongst you? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Pretty easy here and now. Well, let me ask you a question. Let me put you in a test scenario. Who doesn't know Surah Al-Fatiha here? Put your hand up if you don't know Surah Al-Fatiha. Other than the one individual, hopefully you will also come to know it. But in general, everyone knows Surah Al-Fatiha. Well, let me just pick one from the audience here and now and ask you to come to the front and recite Surah Al-Fatiha in front of everyone. It's a different ball game. It's a different ball game. You know, every day you read Surah Al-Fatiha in Salah, mashallah, you know it off by heart. And you know it well. But if I were to put you in this scenario here and now and call you to the front and ask you to know Surah Fatiha, believe me, my young friend, you'll begin to sweat. And because of pressure, you'll start stuttering and you'll start cocking up. So just because you know the answer to these questions here at this moment in time, when you're 6 foot under, and for the disobedient ones, the angels will come how? أبصارهما كالبرق الخاطف. Their eyes glare like lightning. وأصواتهما كالرعد القاصف. And then when the sound of their voice rumbles like thunder. وأنيابهما كالصياصي. And their teeth are like the horns of a bull. And they carry a hammer so big that if the humankind and jinn kind got together, they would not be able to move it 1 millimeter. Their hair reached their feet. This is how they will come to the disobedient ones, and they will ask them, Man rabbuk, ma dinuk, man hadha rajul. Believe me, kid, if you did not live a life of obedience, if you did not follow the teachings of Allah and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when you're 6 foot under and these angels come and ask you these simple questions, just as you would begin to panic and see stars when you're standing here in front of the masses and struggle to read Surah Al-Fatiha, which you did in your entire life. If you did not live a life of obedience, when you're 6 foot under, my young friend, you will begin to panic. It won't be just straightforward. So when that angel's out there, you know the joke has come to an end. Your life has come to an end. Now there will be accountability, and you will be afraid of your outcome. This is why, my young friend, if the angel was out there, it would not excite you. You would not be jumping for joy. You would not be distributing, quality streets or roses or whatever it may be, or mitai here, guys, I'm going on a honeymoon. You won't be doing this, my young friend. What excites you with regards to the akhirah? We're not praying as we should be praying. We're not bowing down as we should be bowing down. We're not elevating the kalima as we should be elevating the kalima. We are not enjoining good and forbidding evil as we should be enjoining good and forbidding evil. We do not respect our mother and father as we should be respecting our mother and father. We are not fulfilling our obligations to Allah and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I ask you, my young friend, then what excites you with regards to the akhirah? What excites you in meeting Allah? When you lived a life, your entire life, disobeying Allah, neglecting His teachings, going against His teachings, not living by the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah, then what excites you with regards to meeting Allah? This, that you will stand before the Lord of the Arsh and Kursi. You will stand before the Lord of the heavens and the earth. My young friend, you will stand before the Lord of the entire universe on a day when Allah will be angry like never before. Allah will never ever have been angry like this before. Allah will never ever be angry like this again. You will meet Him on this day when Allah will be angry like never before, and when Allah will punish like no being within this universe can punish. This is the day when you will meet Allah. I ask you, my young friend, do you know what it means, the Lord of the Arsh and Kursi? It's easy saying Subhanallah, but do we actually know what it means, the words Lord of the Arsh, Lord of the throne, Lord of the Kursi, Lord of the chair? You and I can't get over this little dunya that we live in. This is why we jump for joy. This dunya excites us so much. And you know what? The dunya of Allah is beautiful. But believe me, it is nothing in comparison to what Allah's created out there. And we live, sometimes, I say sad lives. What type of life do we live? This, that we don't even know who our neighbor is. We don't even know who our chacha is. We don't even know who our mamu is. You never see them. When do you see them? You haven't got time for yourself, your own wife and children. What life do you live? We're like robots, machine. We come into this world born in Bedford. Majority of us live in Bedford. And then we die in Bedford. You don't even leave Bedford. And your life comes to an end. And for some of the guys, their life evolves around 3-4 streets. He sits in his car with his friend in the morning. The whole day he will just sit in the car or go around the block. In the morning once, he's there. Afternoon, he's there. Evening, he's there. And this is his life. A joint or two, he's out of it. 12 o'clock, buzzed out home, knocked out. Get up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon again. And this is it, this is life. And you go. You came like this, you went like this. You didn't even enjoy the dunya. I couldn't understand if you say, you know what, I went to Las Vegas and I did it. Got myself a fat car, fat bird, on the white sandy beaches of Barbados, sunbathing. To some extent you can say you've seen something or you did something, but what, majority of us? Fat chance. We're robots. That's all we do. Wake up, same system every day. You get up at 7 o'clock, then you'll go to the work, you'll do exactly the same thing. You'll come back and you'll do exactly the same thing, more or less. And you know what? This is how we leave this dunya. But look at the dunya that Allah has created. Look at the size of this dunya. For some of us, this dunya is as far as Bedford, but believe me, it's slightly bigger. You've got billions and billions of people living on this dunya, and there's space for billions and billions of more people. But what is this dunya in comparison to what Allah has created out there? What is this dunya in comparison to what Allah has created out there? This dunya, my young friend, might baffle you, might excite you. But you know what? This dunya on which you and I live, this planet, is nothing in comparison to what Allah has created out there. You see the sunrise every morning and you see the sunset every evening. Have you ever pondered over this? Look at the sun. Look at the size of the sun. How big is this sun that you see rising every morning, setting every evening, in comparison to this dunya that you live on? My young friend, they say, this sun, millions of miles away from here, is thousands and thousands of times bigger than this dunya that you and I live on. Thousands and thousands of times bigger than this dunya that you and I live on. And you know what they say? That this is a star. It's just one star. There are stars out there which are thousands and thousands of times bigger than the sun. They make the sun look silly, insignificant, nothing. They say, how many stars make a galaxy? They say billions and billions of stars make one galaxy. How many galaxies do you think we've got out there? My young friend, out there, we have billions and billions and billions of galaxies. Yeah, just recent now, you're living it. This comet. What was the thing called? Rosetta. And this landing on this comet. How many billion kilometers? They covered, 10 billion, they were saying? 25 years ago, they started. 10 billion kilometers it's covered. And we're getting signals from there. Whatever it is at the moment, about 800 million kilometers away. 800 million kilometers away, you're living it. It just happened recently, on the 15th of November. This machine was sending signals from 800 million kilometers away. This is just within our solar system. Forget the galaxies and the billions and billions of galaxies that are out there. And you know what? The remarkable thing is, every single thing that I've mentioned so far is within the first heaven. When you raise your head, and whatever they mention in your science books, my young friends, it's within the first heaven. Let the revelation of our beloved Nabi, the wahi, that our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam add to your science. Everything that I mentioned is in the first heaven. And how many heavens has Allah created? 7. Once upon a time, they were talking about a universe. All of a sudden, I just read it a few weeks ago, they've now started talking about, the odd scientist has now started talking about what? A multiverse. And what's Quran been talking about from day one? 7 heavens. The distance from the first heaven to the second heaven is how much? 500 years. To get from the first heaven to the second heaven, it will take 500 years. Now, what speed? Only Allah and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam know best. Get out what speed is being referred to in this hadith. But if you just bear Rosetta in mind, get how much mileage was covered in 25 years? 10 billion kilometers. 10 billion kilometers. This is just now. God knows what they'll make tomorrow. God knows what they will make tomorrow. Allah says in the Quran, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and He creates what you don't know. Allah talks about camels, Allah talks about donkeys and horses, that they use these as conveyance. And then Allah says, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and Allah creates what you don't know. Because in those days, and the Mufassirin explain, this verse is referring to all your aircrafts. Because in those days, had they mentioned aircraft and spaceships and Rosetta, nobody would be able to comprehend it 1400 years ago. So Allah left it, Ijmal al-Am, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and He creates what you don't know. Referring to Rosetta and these spaceships and everything else that goes with it. So from the first heaven to the second, 500 years. Second to the third, 500 years. Third to the fourth, fourth to the fifth, fifth to the sixth, sixth to the seventh. Every time 500 years. Have you seen an onion? Have you seen the different layers? One layer on top of the other. Just think that the seven heavens that Allah's created is like an onion. One layer, then you have another layer, then you have another layer, then you have another layer. Yet there's a distance between each layer, and each layer, the distance is 500 years. After the seven heavens, my young friends, you have the Kursi of Allah. Allahu la ilaha illa wal hayyul qayyum, la ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm, lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض. This verse is known as Ayatul Kursi. Third juz. Why is it called Ayatul Kursi? Because Allah here talks about His chair. We believe Allah has a chair. How this chair is, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But He has one. This is our iman. How big is this chair, this kursi? I'm going to use the word kursi in comparison to the seven heavens which I've just described. Let me just give you an example. Take a ring and place this ring in the Sahara Desert. Sahara Desert is the biggest desert. Take this ring and place it inside the Sahara Desert. I ask you, my young friend, what significance do this little ring have with Sahara Desert? Is there any significance in size? No. Is there even a point making a mention of the significance, the ratio? No, because the objective is to show there is no significance between this little ring and the Sahara Desert. My young friends, the seven heavens are the ring, and the Kursi of Allah is the Sahara Desert. After this, you have the Arsh of Allah. وَكَانَ أَرْشُهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ الرَّحْمَنُ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ اسْتَوَى. Allah talks about His Arsh. We translate as throne, but again, our iman is there is a throne. How this throne is, only Allah Himself knows. Allah's used this word for us just to comprehend that there is a throne. Now this Arsh, in comparison to the Kursi of Allah, again, my young friends, a ring in the desert. This time, my young friends, the Kursi of Allah is the ring, and the Arsh of Allah is the desert. And Allah is the Lord of the Arsh and Kursi. And then you have angels. You think you're something. Every one of us suffers from this me, I, and this pride and arrogance that I'm something. You realize how significant you are in the makings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have angels that carry the Arsh. Their heads are in the seventh heaven, and their feet are in the lowest earth. How many angels carry this Arsh? 4. How many angels will carry on the Day of Judgment? وَيَحْمِلُ أَرْشَ رَبِّكَ فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ ثَمَانِيَةٌ. On the day of judgment, you will have 8 angels that will carry this arsh. Their heads in the highest heaven, their feet in the lowest earth. And you and I, you know what? We have a few pounds in our pockets and we start jumping like a orangutan. You believe you're something. You know, you've got a fat car, yeah? You made a few pounds from your takeaway, or you've done well in taxes this week, or whatever. I mean, these are just examples. A few pounds in your pockets and you start jumping for joy. You have a nice car, you expect the world to look at you. This is you and me. Yeah, what were we created from? Yeah. I don't see you picking up clay and putting on in your front room. This is, do you value what you were made out of? No, you don't. None of us do. What we were created out of, you've told me, clay. And in the dunya, what was the means? Mimma mahin, semen. We were created from the discharge of your mother and your father. Yeah? Now, this liquid. Look at the value of this liquid. If this were to touch you here and now on your clothing, what would you stand tall and proud? Look at me. You wouldn't. You'd say it stinks. All of a sudden you say it's pleath, yeah. Let me quickly go. It's impure. I want to go wash my hands. You daren't walk around with this liquid on if it were to touch any one of your clothes. You daren't walk around. Why? Because you dislike it. But yeah, this was your origin. This is what you're made out of. This is what you're worth. And this is what you consider yourself. You dislike it. Mitti, I don't see you, clay. I don't see you, gathering this clay, mashallah, put it on your what do you call it, mantelpiece in your front room, and say, oh, this is me. This is what I'm made out of. This is the reality of man.